Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to episode 70 of the Fightersrep podcast. I'm your host, the Fightersrep Fez, or just the Fightersrep, joined by my notoriously notorious co-host, the king of Richmond Heights, Miami, Florida. None other than ignorant behavior. I know you're holding down the fort for me while I'm not in Miami right now, Gary. How are you doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Just been busy, but I'm doing good, though.
I love it. I mentioned to you before we got started, the modern curtains in the background looking clean, very Miami style. You know, I'm not accusing you of selling any sort of weird substances to be able to afford that type of look, but I'm proud of your taste. And it looks like the Miami is starting to rub off on you a little bit more.
I'm just in here today. I'm in here today because my normal spot is a little hectic right now. I have to get that straightened out. But
Well, Gary, we got a lot to talk about today on the Fightersrep podcast. We've got Canelo Alvarez kind of just back and forth giving us the okey doke. I don't know what this guy's doing to us. It was Crawford and then maybe Jake Paul, and then it was William Skull, and then it got taken away, and I said, what's going on here? And now all of a sudden it's a 4-fight deal with the guy who seems to be now the CEO of boxing, the big Turki Alalshikh Riyadh season. It looks like Canelo signed a 4-fight deal with them, Gary. That's big news. And then I also wanted to talk to you a little bit later about Keyshawn Davis, who's fighting on Friday, right? I want us to give our prediction on that against Dennis Berinchek. And we've also got Jack Catterall fighting, I believe, on Saturday. But, let's get right into this, Gary. I mean, Canelo Alvarez, he's been really, I don't know, he's like teasing us, man. What's going on with this guy, And I was thinking, let me tell you what I was thinking. I heard about Crawford. Then I figured he's going to fight someone in the interim. We had heard about Skull at the beginning. Then we heard a little bit about Jake Paul. Then we heard the Crawford fight was off.
Yep.
I said to myself, when I heard the Crawford fight was off, I just assumed, this is Canelo flexing his leverage, right? He doesn't need these people. These guys got a lot of money. Saudi Arabia has a lot of money. The big Turkey. He can give him as much gravy as he wants from the big Turkey, but Canelo is still the cash cow in boxing. He can kind of do whatever he wants. And then it kind of flipped on us. What have been your thoughts throughout this whole back and forth? I mean, do you think there was maybe like a little bit of a shakeup in the negotiation, or do you think this is what's kind of been going on all along, and we've just been drip fed the information?
I mean, in my thinking, I'm like, my normal thinking is Canelo really doesn't want to fight Bud. Not because he's scared, but because, like he stated, when this whole thing first got brought up a long time ago, and he didn't think it was possible, but he was saying what would I gain by that?
Yeah.
I think Canelo thinks a lot about his legacy. And so I think he's like, I go fight this guy, and I know this guy's a good fighter. And if he moves around, which Canelo, we already know, doesn't like movers. He said he doesn't move. He doesn't like movers.
Right.
And if I go fight this guy and I beat him, that doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
But if I go fight this guy and I lose to him, that damages my legacy.
Badly.
I lost to a smaller guy, like way smaller.
Yeah.
And so,
and we know the saying, right, Gary? The good big man usually beats the good little man. If the good little man beats you, it's an ugly scene, Gary.
It's saying something.
It's an ugly scene, Gary. It's an ugly scene.
So I think Canelo thinks he can beat Bud, but I just think he thinks it's a risk that he don't need to take for what's the money. And so I think that when Turkey came and the projected things that it's saying that, that they're being offered like 75 and 50 million. I mean, I don't care what you're talking about. That's a whole lot of money. Whole lot of money. And I know Canelo's made his money, but what they say about people who make money, they want more money, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And so, it's a whole lot of money and it's, that's it's something hard to turn down. So I think
yeah,
he was like, man, shit, I gotta do this fight. It is what it is. And then I was saying when the Jake Paul fight came up, he was like, whoa, that's no risk. I'll knock him out. And I can still make 100 to 75 million. It's
yeah,
projected to make that fight between Canelo and Jake Paul 200 million.
yeah,
So he's thinking like, dude, I can make a lot of money fighting this guy I know I'm gonna knock out.
yeah,
So I thought he thought about that, but then I started thinking, I'm like, well, Canelo's smart. Maybe he's just using that Jake Paul shit as leverage to get more out of Turk. Because at first it was a 3-fight deal. Now all of a sudden it became a 4-fight deal. So then it's like, okay, was he using it as leverage to get more out of Turk
yeah, yeah,
and never planning on? Because the press release that Jake Paul released was saying we were in negotiations in good faith and da 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 da. Everybody's not like that. Almost seeming like Jake Paul felt like you used me to get more money.
yeah.
So that's my take.
Let me ask you, that's a little interesting wrinkle to this story that I wanted to ask you about. It seems to me that Turkey, based on what Canelo said, right, about, oh, I'm only fighting real fighters and, screw these YouTubers or whatever it is, you know what I mean? It
Mhm.
seems to me that Turkey might be flexing a little bit of his, that big old Disney World drumstick he's got. He's flexing it because, just to kind of show Jake Paul, like, you're all right, you're making some money, but you're not the big turkey gravy money. You know what I mean? Do you feel like Turkey is kind of giving him the cold shoulder, maybe freezing Jake Paul out a little bit to show him who's really in charge of boxing?
I don't think necessarily show him who's in charge of boxing. I think that he doesn't like what Jake Paul's doing, not the real fighters fighting. I think
Yeah.
Turkey is a hardcore fan that wants to see people who put the time and effort. Because I don't want to call Jake Paul a fake fighter because he's putting this time in working out and stuff. But you haven't earned, you have not earned what all these other guys earned, the
At all.
credibility and things
At
of
all.
that nature. People who have went through the ranks of amateurs and
Yeah.
Olympics and then came in and did what they need to do, and you're coming in just off a name. You're getting how do you get Canelo?
And Gary, he certainly hasn't earned a fight with Canelo, right? I mean,
Yeah, no,
here's a
no, no.
guy, who the only boxer he fought even close to his age beat him in Tommy
No,
Fury.
it was two. What was the other guy? I don't even know his
Well,
name.
there was that one. Yeah, you're right. There was that one guy. But I mean, the only decent boxer, close to his age was Tommy Fury.
Yeah,
Really decent boxer, beat him. And then this last fight. I mean, you're not going to come off beating a geriatric, you know,
Mike Tyson. Yeah,
on the verge of death, bent, smelling like icy hot, Mike Tyson, and run straight into a fight with Canelo. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Did you see the crazy little video he put out too, where he's like got the Mexican hat on and he's kissing the little
nah, I ain't
troll?
see that. Nah, I ain't see it.
Jake Paul's tripping out, man. I mean, he's definitely looking for this fight, but
He
it
knows
was
how to promote. He knows how to get the money.
yeah, yeah, but it was real impressive to me how, like you said, I agree with you 100%. I think Turkey just wants to see real fights. He doesn't want to see these shenanigans. He doesn't want to see these shenanigans anymore. And he's making real fights happen. And I guess they're putting out this Ring magazine too, and a lot of people are saying good things about it. But anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think he just wants to make good fights happen. Let me ask you, 4 fights. Looks like the next one's William Skull, which is what I initially, kind of what we initially thought. The guy we thought he was initially going to fight.
Mhm.
And then it sounds like Terrence Crawford in September. I saw a post from Terrence Crawford where he weighed 186 pounds. I mean, allegedly, right? We're just seeing a picture.
Yeah.
We're just seeing him post a picture on the scale of the scale, and it says 186. You don't see him on it, but it's a weight scale. He's taking a picture of it. 186 pounds. So let me ask you a couple things. Him going and fighting William Skull and then Terrence Crawford. What do you think of that? That trajectory versus Terrence Crawford not seeming to be taking a warm-up fight at all.
I, I like in my mind, I was like, I think Terrence Crawford should take a fight at 160 against a solid guy at 160. But I can understand it in Terrence Crawford's perspective. It's a risk. What if he goes to 160 and lose? Is
Yeah.
that Canelo fight still a big fight? Is it? It's not because
It's
you
not.
lost at 160.
It's not.
And
It's
then you're
not.
gonna fight Canelo at 168.
But
The
you're gonna
intrigue
fight.
of it is that Terrence Crawford is undefeated and has dominated everybody he's fought.
But you're gonna fight Big Red. You're gonna fight Big Red after being off for I don't know how long. You're going straight into that fight, Gary, after having after being the closest you've ever been is 154 pounds. You're gonna go straight to 168, Gary.
You have a whole year. Well, I guess not a whole year, but you have more than like you have more than enough time to work, train, box against bigger guys, get the weight on in the right weight. You know what I
Activity
mean?
matters too, Gary. Activity matters.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's why you got to train him. I know it's not like a real fight, but you can get some real people in there
Right.
instead of a 3-month camp. Think about it. Most fighters do a 3-month camp. Instead of a
Yeah.
3-month camp, you can train for 6 months. Not as strenuous as you would a 3-month camp, but for 6 months you can work on getting this weight on, getting used to it, adjusted to it, and fighting people at that weight
Yeah.
and seeing what the power is. I'm not saying it's like I said, I would like to see him fight somebody, but I
Yeah.
know what the risk is. Because I remember De La Hoya, who was De La Hoya going to fight? And I thought De La Hoya lost the fight. They gave it to him. And I
Yeah.
said they just gave it to him so they can keep the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And shout out to Philip J. Fries. He says, or Freeze, he says, good stay busy fight for Nello. Gonna mollywop Bud in September. Appreciate you, Philip. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to the channel, join the channel. It'll help us continue to build. Me and Gary go live every Tuesday for now at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we're dropping daily content pretty much. And we're going live after all the big fights. Me and Ignorant Behavior.
I'm done. I'm done
Felix
saying.
Sturm. Philip says Felix Sturm. I remember that fight. And a lot of people thought Felix Sturm won that fight. Gary.
Yeah. Oh, see, that's how you know who really watches boxing.
Yeah.
I thought De La Hoya lost the fight. They gave it to De La Hoya.
Yep.
And it almost ruined a big fight. So
Yep.
things happen, man.
Yep.
I think Andrew Ruiz knocking out Anthony Joshua.
Amazing
That
you
was
bring
not
that up.
supposed to happen.
Amazing you bring that up because I did want to talk a little bit about Andy Ruiz as well, Gary. He may be going back to Manny Robles. We had the break-in interview here when he won the championship and after the breakup between them two. So we'll touch on that in a bit. But, back to Crawford, man. I think you make a good point. You don't want that fight to evaporate. But, I think he could have taken an easy touch at 160, like you said, maybe even 168. Take a softer touch, kind of see what's what. It doesn't have to be a hard fight. William Skull is a guy he's earned his shot, right? Because he won enough fights and won his way to this, I guess, this mandatory or whatever it is. But nobody thinks he's going to beat Canelo.
Yeah.
We've seen crazier things in boxing, but nobody thinks he's going to beat Canelo. It's just, Canelo's making his money. Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day in September. That's what he does. And I do think Crawford can do the same thing. I'm thinking you're thinking what I'm thinking, right? Which is he's going to wipe out Skull. We're going to have a fight in September. If it's true, Terrence Crawford is 186 pounds, Gary, which I believe it. I believe it. What, does that make you feel better about the fight, knowing that the guy's walking around at 186 pounds or has maybe already grown to 186 pounds and we're this far out?
Always if you can pack on more weight than people thought you could, it helps. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, but Canelo probably can pack on
200.
Yeah. If he really wanted to.
Yeah.
He probably can go 190, 195, 200.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these guys hold down their weight.
Gary, especially with those Mexican meat tacos he was eating. Gary.
and the thing about it is how do you move with that? Like I said, Terrence has a lot of time to, learn how to move with that weight and deal with that weight. But when you put on a bunch of weight like that in such a short time, it can affect you. It can your endurance, it can affect your speed, your legs, all that stuff. So,
Philip says it makes me more confident in picking Canelo, to be honest. I'd like to hear why that is, Philip. Feel free to drop the comment in the live chat. Gary, listen, it makes me feel a little bit better because it makes me realize that, man, Terrence Crawford has been cutting a lot of weight probably if he's walking around anywhere near 180 something.
Well, Errol Spence got up to 180 after he didn't fight for 2 years. They say he was up to 185.
But it makes me feel better, that Bud is naturally bigger than I thought he was. It also makes me realize or reinforces the fact of how hard of a worker he is, to be that heavy and cutting down that far. I mean, I'm not sure if he was typically walking around that big, but probably now after years of discipline, knowing he's kind of reaching the twilight of his career, he's like, okay, I need to gain some weight. Let me be a little bit more loose with my eating, and maybe not in a careless way, right, Gary? Maybe he's just stuffing on a bunch of, eating a bunch of protein.
You can add on muscle though.
Yeah.
Because like Roy Jones Jr., when he went to fight Ruiz, one of the things he said is he packed on muscle, not fat.
Yeah.
So when he packed on muscle to fight Ruiz and he tried to drop back down, he had to lose muscle, and that's the thing that hurt him. He wasn't losing fat. He was losing muscle.
And you know what, Gary? You know what else people don't talk about? Bone mass, bone density.
You sound like my grandma now.
Well, you're losing muscle, but if you're eating away at your body, right? If you're eating away at your body, you're also eating away at some of that bone density, I think, which I think can be harmful as well, especially when you went as high as heavyweight the way Roy Jones did. But well, yeah, so I mean,
hold on, I'm gonna interrupt you. My grandma used to always talked about everybody's weight because my grandma growing up was skinny, and as she got older, she got bigger and didn't realize it. Talked about everybody else's weight, and then my mom one time was like, "You ain't no small girl no more." She's like, "Oh, I got big bones."
Philip said bone density takes the longest to build, and I think that's correct. And you lose that, and I think you definitely lose something in this sport, especially as you get older, man. Getting older, going up to heavyweight, going back down. That was tough for Roy Jones. But anyway,
what was saying it was his muscle that was lost. Because he had low body fat percentage. When to get the heavyweight, he put on muscle, not fat.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying for Terrence Crawford. If he puts on muscle, you can do it. But I would never suggest going back down. Same thing what Boots said when they said go to 154 to fight Virgil. He said once he goes to 154, he's staying.
How are you feeling about Canelo Crawford at this juncture now? With this little bit of extra knowledge that we have now. How are you feeling about?
I still give Canelo a slight edge. I'm rooting for Bud though. I'm rooting for Bud. I think Bud has done.
This America, baby. We go with America.
It ain't just America. It's just, man, he's black. Kendrick Lamar. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, if that's your reason, Gary, that's your reason.
Nah. I just think that
I'm not mad at you, Gary.
no. That's not my reason. You know me.
Yeah, I know.
I picked Tyson Fury over Deontay Wilder.
I know you
You know
did.
what I'm saying?
I know you
So
did.
I just think that
Cause me and Gary ain't loyal to nobody but ourselves and the game, baby.
I think he is the more skilled fighter,
Yeah,
but not by like a whole lot, by a little bit.
yeah.
And when you get somebody as big as Canelo and pressure, man, that's gonna be like everybody says, the great little man versus the great big man. The great big man wins most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Crawford to win is because I feel like he's been screwed over through most of his career, and his brilliance, his excellence, and I think that his skill, like I think he's one of those. Even though I pick Errol Spence over him in the fight, you know, I think he's one of
Your
those.
biggest ever mistake on this
Yeah,
channel.
and you was like, that's not like you.
It's not. I still don't understand
over,
it.
And the one time I went, and I'm just like, man, I said Boots can beat him, and it makes me feel like I'm a Crawford hater, but I'm not. I love Crawford.
Yeah.
I just look at things, and with the Errol Spence fight, I really didn't know who to pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought it was 50-50, which that was not 50-50.
No, that was not. That was not. Hey, you didn't need to have 2020 to know that was not 50-50.
I just feel like, he has it. And I like to see people step up and say, yeah, man, I want that. Let's do it and take a challenge on. So I'm rooting for the underdog.
Yeah. Philip says more skilled offensively in terms of different tools and tricks he uses, maybe. But defensively, Nello has the better skills, and defense wins championships. Come on, man. While you making me teach fundamentals, appreciate your opinion, Philip. Listen, for me, I'm leaning. I'm with you, Gary. I'm with you. I'm leaning towards Canelo. I like both of these guys. Slight edge for me for Canelo because, like you said, the size. It's a lot of size. We're asking a lot here from Terrence Crawford, a guy who started his career, what, Gary, 130, 135?
I think 130, 135. Something
wild.
like that.
That's wild. And his last fight, which was a competitive fight, Gary, at 154 pounds. Competitive. By the way, I agree with Fight or Flight. I had Bud Spence easy before they fought. Well, listen.
You ain't have it easy, nigga. Don't do that. You my fan nigga over there.
The thing being Gary, go back and forth with on the Bud Spence thing, you guys, is it's funny because me and Gary are the same in that we're always gonna pick the technical guy, right? Unless something crazy's happening. And Gary, for whatever reason,
better be against Bivol, and I pick Crawford. I pick Errol Spence. Yeah, so
right. I picked Better BF, even though I thought after watching the fight it was a draw or maybe slight towards Bivol, but I scored it a draw. Even though I think Bivol is slightly better technically, I picked Better BF because of his power and everything else. Gary, I don't know, Gary, maybe you could tell them why you picked Spence over Bud, because you did think Bud was the better technical fighter.
Okay, so I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna keep it.
But let me communicate it one more time so everyone understands. We always pick the better technical fighter. So do especially Gary. But for whatever reason, he went against that instinct in the Bud Spence fight and picked Spence. Only he can tell you why. Go ahead, Gary. I don't even remember why you picked Spence.
So, I picked Spence. I didn't want to pick. I said it was 50-50. I thought it was that close. But I thought that Spence had a good chin, and that his activity would win him a fight on points. He wouldn't knock Bud out. I didn't think he could knock Bud out, but I thought his activity could get Bud some problems.
Yeah,
because I seen Bud fight Sean Porter, and Sean Porter gave him some problems before he knocked him down. The
Yeah.
corner was actually telling Bud, "Hey, you need to do something with Sean Porter.
Sean
He's
Porter,
a pressure
though.
fighter."
Sean
And
Porter
I
gives
thought Errol
everybody.
Spence was better, and I knew somebody from Errol Spence's family. God damn it!
You thought you had the inside connection.
Yeah, I thought I had something going.
Me, I thought Spence was going to win. Or Bud was going to win. I picked Bud because I think he's technically superior. I didn't know it would be that much of a wipeout, to be honest with you guys.
I never predicted that.
Yeah, I thought that was a wipeout. But, it kind of makes sense in hindsight with like what Philip is saying, all the getting maybe fat and drunk and car wrecks and everything else. Maybe he's not the same after car wrecks. I hope to see Errol Spence back in there.
I was told he was good. I was told by a family member he was good after the car wreck. He just lost a tooth. Yeah, and he was good. He didn't get hurt that much.
Well, and I also don't want to take away from Bud. That was a masterful performance, and he's obviously a lot stronger than people anticipated. But that brings me back to my point. Canelo Alvarez, I give him the slight edge, even though I think he's technically inferior to Bud Crawford, because he's just so much bigger, right? It's the same reason I picked Beterbiev over Bivol. It's just there's so much of a power difference. So, but I think this is even worse, right? Because, he's jumping up a couple weight classes. We're not even sure. Listen, we're hopeful that Bud Crawford is going to be so skilled he's going to be able to handle himself in there. But it could be a situation it really could be, Gary, a situation like an Amir Khan Canelo. I don't think it'll be that bad, but it could happen where he just gets clipped. He gets clipped out of there one time by one big shot and just doesn't hold up. We saw Charlo, who's also a pretty big guy at, whatever it is, 147, 154. He was
at 154 and jumped up to 168.
Yeah, we saw him just get manhandled in there, and he felt
the power, and he started running the whole fight.
Yeah. So for me, that's why I think Canelo, but I'm going with Crawford because I'll just be honest with you guys. It's a couple things. First and foremost, I'm putting America first, baby. We're going with Crawford all day long. Hey, say what you want. That's the way I feel. And also, I like Bud Crawford's attitude. What he has is a combination of things I don't see outside of right now. Maybe a guy like Keyshawn Davis, who trains with him, which is the reason why I think Bud Crawford, for guys like me and Gary who grew up down in Miami, is that guy, man, because he's got a dog in him. You could see it in the way he moves, the way he fights. You could tell he's a master at what he does. He's a boxing genius. You could tell he puts in the work. He's just got the work ethic, a dog in him, and he's got a mean streak. I love the mean streak, Gary. I gotta say that little bit of nastiness that comes out when he hurts somebody or when somebody pisses him off, or like when he swung on David Benavidez' brother, Benavidez Jr. When he swung on Jose Benavidez Jr.
He knocked him out with the uppercut in the fight.
Yeah. For me, that's that nastiness. The English call it spite. They say that he's got the spite in him. That nastiness he's got. That's what makes me a fan of Bud Crawford. So those two things are the reason I'm going to root for Crawford. The skills combined with the attitude, and it's America, bro. I got to go with the American.
Well, here's the thing: is I want to respond to Philip and fight or flight boxing.
They're riling you up, Gary.
No. I want to respond to him because I do agree with them in the sense that when they say people doubt Canelo's boxing skills and all this stuff, Canelo is not at this level and does not have a high IQ boxing. Canelo always had a high IQ boxing.
Yeah.
And he takes it there. He fought Mayweather, lost, but he learned things. He has a high IQ.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Canelo does not have a high IQ. My thing is that Bud has a higher, and Bud is more athletic. Canelo, at this point in his career, is more flat-footed. He walks forward. He's not moving. in his younger days, he moved a little bit more, but he still was never a mover. Never. He was still more for I'm a corner you off, walk you down. Because if you look at
Upper body movement is clean, but the feet have
yeah,
never been super
upper body
agile.
upper body movement back in the days was better. Now he doesn't have all that. He walks in with a knee brace. You know what I mean? So Crawford still has legs. He still has movement. And when you talk about defense, I still think Crawford has better defense than Canelo. Because I watched Canelo against Triple G get hit a lot. I watched Canelo against
and that chin, bro. That's another thing we got to talk about. You just brought Triple G up, and all I remembered was this Triple G landing bombs on Canelo and nothing happening.
I seen Mayweather land shots, even though Mayweather's wasn't gonna knock him out. Mayweather was such a smaller guy, but you see Triple G, you see Bivol land some shots on land a lot of shots on him, back him up. You see people back. Lara gave him trouble. Even though I was a young Canelo. Canelo, I think, is much better since then. I just think that the reason why I give the edge to Canelo because he is a good boxer.
Yeah,
he's a good boxer, and I think Bud is a slightly better boxer. But you can't be a slightly better boxer and beat somebody who is a very good boxer, like at that weight.
Yeah.
Mayweather made Canelo come down a little bit, and Canelo's way bigger than when he fought when he fought Mayweather. He's way bigger now. So I'm rooting for Bud. I give Canelo a slight edge just because I don't think Bud's that far superior.
I agree.
As the weight. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah, I'm the same way. And that's exactly why I picked Beterbiev over Bivol, right? Because I do think Bivol is a slightly better technical fighter. But I still think, I told you this, I still think Beterbiev is a really good boxer too. Let's not forget the amateur career he had. He fought freaking Usyk and everybody in the amateurs. This guy was a good amateur. He definitely knows what he's doing. I just felt like even if Bivol was a little bit more technically sound, man, Beterbiev's power and for whatever reason, his ability to just get stronger as the fight goes on, just had me leaning towards him. By the way, guys, man, we appreciate you guys at the chat. Let us know who you think is going to win this fight. Looks like a lot of you right now are leaning towards Canelo, which totally makes sense, and we agree with you. But let us know. Subscribe to the channel. Join if you haven't. Any super chats you drop, are just going to get reinvested right back into the channel, into building this brotherhood we're creating, this fraternity of boxing on Fightersrep. And, any merch you buy below, again, gets reinvested right back into this thing. Gary, who do you think, because whether he beats Crawford or not, there's always next year, and there's 2 more fights, and I assume it's going to be Cinco de Mayo in September again, because it does seem that there's a 4-fight deal. Any ideas as to who will be in there with him, or who you want to see in there with him?
I know who I want to see. Was that going to happen? I don't think it's going to happen.
Give it to me. No diddler.
Pause. Obviously Benavidez. Obviously Benavidez.
Yeah.
Arthur Beterbiev. I don't think none of those fights are happening.
Yeah.
But those are fights that I would love to see happen. But who I think is gonna happen, I think Jamal Charlo, he's gonna fight him.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's gonna go back to Jake Paul. Not in the 4 fights, but after he gets out of 4 fights, he's gonna try to double back to get that money. He's gonna go back to get that money. And I do think he's gonna fight
and he's gonna knock the Mickey Mouse and the Goofy out that boy.
But I do think he's gonna double back and I know not double back, but I do think he's gonna fight I can't think of his name right now, who he initially was going to fight Jake Paul and him to win the belt.
Who Jake Paul was going to fight?
No. When he dropped the Bud deal, he was going to fight Jake Paul. You mentioned earlier Jake Paul and
William Skull.
William Skull. There you go, William Skull.
Well, he's fighting him next.
He is.
Yeah. We talked about that at the beginning. He's fighting William.
No.
Skull.
I thought you were saying that. Oh, so I didn't know that was locked in.
I think that's locked in. I think he's fighting Skull, and then he's fighting Crawford. I'm asking you though, 2026. I'm thinking. I
would like Benavidez, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'm thinking the winner of Better BF Bivol, although I think Benavidez should get that person, but maybe the winner of those.
Yeah, he might.
I don't know,
man. I don't know if he wants to do that though.
You want to hear a real marination of deliciousness, like ignorant behavior barbecue ribs marination level? You let Canelo fight the winner of Bivol and Better BF, and then he fights Benavidez after that. And what I would really love to
see, that doesn't make sense.
I know, but what I would really love to see is I would love to see the winner of Better BF Bivol fight Benavidez. Now imagine that happens, right?
I think that might happen.
Imagine that happens and Benavidez wins and becomes the champ, undisputed at 168, right?
Yeah.
So then imagine Canelo goes up and fights, whoever came second, and then fights Benavidez. Could you imagine the marination on that Benavidez fight, Gary? That would be absolutely.
But you asked for a lot. You asked for both fighters not to take an L.
They don't listen. The guy could take an L. It's
both of them could,
because it's at 175. So I don't mind. So even if they do take an L, it's okay for Canelo to fight if he goes up to 175. He's
busy right here.
Oh my goodness, is that a Frenchie?
Yeah, it is.
Man, I like those.
He's busy right now. He's all over me.
And Eduardo said, look, Eduardo's confirming. By the way, Crawford weighs 186 pounds. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that earlier. Eduardo, 100%. Fighter Flight says Bivol would kill Crawford.
I think that would be a tougher fight for Crawford. I do. Bivol against Crawford. I agree with Fighter Flight.
Yeah.
That I don't know kill, but that would be a very tough fight for Crawford.
Yeah, no, I don't like that fight because Bivol moves around, is athletic.
Yeah, exactly.
If David fights the winner, Better be versus Bivol for undisputed, and Canelo wins, we'll fight him. But David will run from that fight. He's talking about fighting Cerrone. Oh man, you think so? I feel like David's been dying to fight Canelo. I gotta kind of disagree with you on that one, Fighter Flight. I think David would love that fight at 175.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. David's a big guy. He's not afraid of these guys at that weight.
No, not at all.
He can literally go up to. Some people think he can go to heavyweight, but
he's been begging for Canelo at 168. He's been begging for him for years at 168. So I don't know. Let's move on to the next topic, Gary. I mean, I think we've had our fill on Canelo Crawford. Definitely something, a fight we're excited about. But I also wanted to make a prediction on a fight we've got on Friday, Gary, a fight I'm very excited about. A teammate of Bud Crawford. So I think it's a good segue. Keyshawn Davis, the businessman, Gary, taking on Dennis Berinchek for Berinchek's WBO lightweight title. Berinchek, good fighter, Gary, but 5'7", and Keyshawn Davis is 5'9". Looks even smaller than that compared to Davis. He does have 19 total fights to Keyshawn's 13, but we're talking about a guy in Berinchek, Gary, 36 years old versus the businessman who's just 25, training with the best, doing it right now in Terrence Crawford. And like I said, I mean, I'm seeing all the same things I love about Terrence Crawford, Gary. I'm seeing him in Keyshawn. I'm seeing him in Keyshawn Davis, man. I'm seeing a lot of those qualities. You're telling me no? You're disagreeing with me? Here we go. Another disagree. I can't get this guy to agree to anything. Go ahead, Gary.
I think Keyshawn is a great fighter.
Okay, good.
I don't know if he's like Bud. I mean, that's
time will tell. 25 years old. Time will tell.
Hard. I think he's actually more aggressive than Bud. Wants to get in the middle of and get in the fight more than Bud. Bud ain't really trying to look for a fight. Bud's trying to look for the box you, perfect opportunity to counter you. Bud has power. The Bud's a counter puncher. He's a switch. I just think to compare Keyshawn to Bud, there's so many levels above Keyshawn. Now, like I said, I think
I'm not saying they're on the same level, but this guy's 25 years old, training with him.
I'm saying Keyshawn is great. I think Keyshawn is a great fighter. I think he's going to win this fight against Branchick. I think that his athleticism, he has nice power, and he has a dog in him. So I think he'll win it. But Terrence Crawford, to say he's Terrence Crawford, I don't know about that, man.
Come on, Gary. Look what you did here. I didn't say he's Terrence Crawford. I said he's training with him.
He reminds you of Terrence Crawford.
He reminds me of him. He's got a lot of the same qualities. That's what I'm saying.
But even the way he boxes doesn't remind me of Terrence Crawford.
It's not exactly the same, no. But he has his own style. But like you said, he's more aggressive. But he's also sharp. He's technical. He's sharp. Sugar, let's get Sugar on camera, baby.
You ain't had her on camera in a long time. She's been mad at me a lot.
I know. She just blessed us. Now we're gonna jump like 10,000 subscribers after this one.
Right.
But yeah, Keyshawn, dude, is just tough. He hits hard. I think he's technical. I don't think he backs down. 25 years old. He's still got a ton to learn from Terrence Crawford and Bomac and everybody else.
Terrence Crawford and Shakur. He hangs out with Shakur. Terrence Crawford, Shakur. He's boxed Abdullah Mason sometimes.
I'm seeing, look, Gary, I'm seeing an excellence. I'm sorry.
I think he's a very good fighter.
I'm seeing an excellence from this young 25-year-old. I do believe in time. He's going to be that guy.
Do you think if he gets a shot at Tank, he can beat Tank?
You can't do that to me, Gary.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Right now, do you think he beat Tank?
Right now, I think it would be a hell of a fight. I lean towards Tank. I lean towards Tank. But right now, I think it would be a hell of a fight. But
down the line, maybe Keyshawn down the line, but here's
what I'll say. I think, and I said this on the channel, I think Keyshawn's attitude and the way he's moving through the fight game is going to create a better legacy for him if he's able to continue to have success than Tank Davis. I already am more of a fan of the career of Keyshawn Davis, I think. Just because he seems willing, because he seems to me like he's willing to fight anybody. Whereas Tank, it's very, as much as I like him, I feel like it's very picky choosy. He's
just always. Here's my thing is, always when you're coming up and trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to go for the top guy, you will always seem like you're willing to fight everybody. But if you watch all of these fighters, once they get a name and they get to a certain level, they start picking and choosing. All of them do. Yeah. And they start thinking,
but Gary, Tank's entire career has been he's been moved along very carefully, Gary.
So when he fought Ryan Garcia, that was picking and choosing? That was one of the top four guys in that weight.
Gary, he drained him to a skeleton. I mean, this guy,
man, I don't want to hear that.
This guy couldn't even make weight for the Devin Haney fight. How is he going to make weight for
that? That's later Ryan Garcia. Because before Tank, he was fighting. Nobody ever said the other fighters drained Ryan Garcia. He fought at that weight all this time. Nobody said, hey, when he got dropped by who he got dropped by with his chin up, and he ended up winning by a liver shot. Who I can't think of his name. When he fought him, nobody said, "Oh, you drained him."
Oh, you mean Luke Campbell? Was it Luke Campbell?
Yeah, Luke Campbell. When Luke Campbell dropped him, and then he dropped him with a liver shot, nobody said, "Oh, Luke Campbell drained him. That's why he got knocked down."
Gary,
Nobody said none of the fights until he fight. He asked for Tank, and when Tank said, "Hey, I'll fight you," and dropped him twice because Ryan Garcia was overly aggressive and he was wild, and Tank ducked and hit him with shots and hit him to the body, and Ryan Garcia quit. Then they said, "Oh, he was weight drained." Oh, just now you're weight drained? That's bullshit, man. I don't care what nobody say.
Fighter Flight says Tank hasn't fought a legit champion since 2017. He's a 30-year-old prospect. Garcia was drained. Garcia is an Instagram fighter. I mean, I think Garcia is pretty good. You know, I'm not going to take too much.
It is not that Devin Haney.
Yeah, I'm not going to take
drugs.
I'm not going to take too much away from Tank. I just think he's been moved along very carefully. When he did fight Garcia, he brought him down. When he fought, what's his name, Gamboa, he was way too old. Like it's almost.
Okay, so what about Rolly Romero? Who probably had
Gary?
Rolly had
come on,
power.
Gary.
Rolly had power. You guys make excuses for these people.
Gary, we're not gonna.
So why did everybody tune in to fight these people?
Gary, I'm not gonna. I know. Listen, I know
y'all can't do this.
I know you've got modern zebra curtains on your window right now, and you think you're big ballin', but I'm not gonna let you do this to us. I'm not gonna let you do this to the channel. Rolly Romero, Gary, I'm sorry.
Was Rolly Romero undefeated? With a bunch of knockouts?
He's not terrible, but he's not on these guys. He's not on Tank's level. He lost. He should have lost or did lose. I don't remember now to that like Barroso, that like 40-year-old Venezuelan guy.
Okay,
Romero's not a killer, bro. He's not a killer.
At the time. So why you watched the fight? If we go back to your comments when the fight was going to happen, you thought it was going to be a good fight. Yes or no?
No, I thought it would be a fun fight. I thought it would be a fun fight, but I didn't think Rolly was going to beat Tank Davis, dude. Come on.
So what about Pitbull Cruz? Do you think Pitbull Cruz is a good fighter?
Listen, when they picked Pitbull Cruz, they did not think he was that good, and he ended up putting a hell of a fight up against Tank. But look, he's lost a couple fights since then. He's shown that he's just like a kind of like a pretty good fighter in the division, right? He's lost a couple fights.
So
listen, even this last fight he just had, I felt like they gave him a gift. I felt like that other guy should have.
He lost he lost fights. He lost against Rayo. He knocked Rolly out. He knocked Rolly out. He lost against Rayo. So what other fight did he lose?
But there was. I mean, I thought he lost his last. I thought he lost his last fight, and I would have to look through his. I ain't gonna lie, it was a close fight. Yeah, I thought I would. I would have to
level fighter. Fight or flight boxing saying he's a C-level fighter. A C-level fighter.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
Fight or flight. Right now, you're fight or flight. Right now, you're taking flight. You're going too far, and we're gonna reel you back in. Let me
C-level. Come on, man.
Let me throw the last one out there. Reel you back in. I would say maybe B. I would say maybe B plus.
B plus, yeah. That's what I would say. He's not an A-level fighter, but he's a B plus fighter.
He is dropping to C though. I mean, that last fight he didn't look really good at all, and he got beat the one before that. It puts into perspective where Pitbull Cruz is, bro. It puts into perspective. So if you're telling me that that's like Tank Davis's best win, well, Rayo beat him, and this last guy beat him.
Rayo's a really good fighter. Why are we acting like Rayo did? Rayo
why hasn't Tank? Why doesn't Tank fight a guy like that? Like Tank needs to fight somebody like that. Like Gary, he doesn't have anyone on his resume that we're like blown away by. You know what I mean?
No, but I mean neither does. I can say neither does Devin Haney. Neither does Ryan Garcia.
Devin Haney has Lomachenko on his resume, bro, and he beat the heck out of Regis Prograis. And
I'll give you Loma. And a lot of people thought he lost that Loma fight.
Bro, and he went
I don't think so.
And
but
he
a lot
went
of
to
people think
Australia. And he went to Australia and beat Cambosa twice, bro.
Now we want to talk about some Cambosa. Got a lot of credit off of beating Tio. Cambosa is
a good fighter, bro.
He's a B minus.
Also,
he's a B minus.
Don't forget Devin Haney also
Cambosa B minus. Regis at that point is a B minus too.
Gary,
and he's way bigger than him at that point. Come on, I said, and I'm not being a hypocrite. I said he was gonna wipe the floor with Regis.
Gary, Jorge Linares, okay, he was a bit older, but still, Jorge Linares.
Yeah, he's older.
Jojo Diaz was still pretty good when he beat
him. Cut it out.
Cambosa's twice.
C-level fighter. In the words of Fight or Flight.
Lomachenko and Regis. You know, that's Regis.
His biggest win was Lomachenko. I'll give you that. But some people think he didn't win that one.
Yeah, look, Fight or Flight says Devin lost to Loma. So, look.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people thought he lost that fight.
Well, but look, back to the point. I
don't think he did. I think it was a close fight.
Look, I think Keyshawn Davis means it when I've never heard Tank Davis speak about being able to just fight with anyone or wanting to fight anyone the way Keyshawn Davis does. This is my opinion. Even the way he approaches his fight, the way he fights, it's just my opinion. I think Keyshawn Davis.
I think all those guys did that when they were up and coming. And then when they got on top, they slowed it down.
You told us that. Okay, let me just finish my point. I think Keyshawn Davis is a throwback fighter. He's kind of like a Bud Crawford. I think he's down to fight everyone. We'll see. That's why I like him. I think he's going to leave a better legacy if he does that than Tank Davis, who could also do that. But for whatever reason, I mean, I don't see Tank Davis fighting the best guys. I just see him. It looks to me like because he's at that level, he's just picking and choosing. But I've never seen him challenged. Like, when have we seen Tank Davis really challenged? It's never happened.
Okay, so let's say.
Is he that good? Is he that good? Maybe he's just that good.
Okay, so you have who would it be? He fought Santa Cruz, is a pretty good fighter.
That guy came up. He's a little guy. He came up.
Okay, so what about what's his name that went to 147? That he beat. He knocked out.
Your cousin?
My cousin.
Martin?
No, not Frank Martin. No. I'm saying the one that has the belt right now. I can't think of his name.
Mario Barrios. Yeah, that was a
Mario Barrios. He's a bigger guy.
Not an elite guy. Not an elite, but not an elite guy.
What level do you think Mario Barrios is?
Gary, I feel like
what level do you think Mario Barrios is?
Gary, Mario Barrios lost to Keith Thurman.
Keith Thurman's a great fighter.
Not anymore. Then he lost to Tank Davis. Then he
fighter.
And he just had a life or death with some guy. I think it ended up being a draw. Some guy that I forgot the guy's name now. Is a good fighter. But Mario Barrios,
Fight or Flight said a C fighter. Mario Barrios is a C.
Barrios is not an elite guy. Tank is like an elite guy.
I didn't say he's an elite guy. I say he's a B.
He needs to fight an elite guy. Elite guys need to fight each other, Gary.
I said Barrios is a B fighter. I get you saying, but we can go through a lot of people's resume. Who has Shakur fought? Shakur Stevenson, who I think can beat Tank. Who has he fought? That's an elite fighter.
But I don't think that's Shakur's fault. For me, it looks like Shakur is chasing after.
Who has Ryan Garcia fought? That's an elite fighter. Devin Haney. That's it. And he was on drugs then.
I don't think Ryan Garcia is elite.
I'm just saying, who did Ryan Garcia fight that was elite?
Devin Haney. Maybe.
Devin Haney, and he was on drugs. Who did Devin Haney fight that was elite?
Lomachenko.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Who did Tio fight? Well, Lomachenko. You gonna say Lomachenko?
Yeah, Tio beat Lomachenko.
But he lost. But Tio also lost against Cambosa, who we got Fight or Flight saying the C fighter. Well, Cambosa is not an elite fighter.
Yeah,
he lost.
Yeah.
And since he's fought then, he's fought other fights. Tio has fought other fights that he didn't look good in at all against lower level competition.
No, I agree. Tio hasn't had a good fight in a while. So how do you think Keyshawn wins this fight on Friday? We got the prediction Fez on. We need to give it to the people.
Doing the same thing he always does. Uses that athleticism, stick and move, get in the pocket at times, but still, still use his boxing skills and his athleticism. That's what's going to win it for him. He's going to get pressure, and every time Keyshawn is a great counter puncher. He's a good defensive fighter. So just it's being Keyshawn, I don't think this guy has the skill level that Keyshawn has.
Decision or knockout?
Knockout.
Wow. Okay. This guy's undefeated, Gary.
Knockout.
Knockout.
Keyshawn, I say 7th round.
Wow. Okay.
Nah, you know what? I say 6.
Damn. Okay. Well, guess what? I'm gonna go with your first instinct. I'm gonna say knockout as well. Maybe 7th, just because I feel like this guy's kind of tough. I could see it happening in 6-2. I know Dennis is a pretty good fighter, but man, I'm high on Keyshawn Davis, man. I'm high on him. I think he's.
I like him. I like him a lot. I'm high on Keyshawn too. I like him a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I just think that,
I'm high on Keyshawn like they broke him up and put him in the backwoods for me, big dog. But yeah, that's the way I see it. Also, I wanted to talk to you real quick, man, because and you brought it up earlier. It's amazing you brought it up. Andy Ruiz, excuse me. It sounds like he's going back to Manny Robles, and if you guys have been on this channel for a while, I was able to get that interview with Manny Robles before they fought Anthony Joshua, after they fought Anthony Joshua, and then after the breakup of Manny Robles and Andy Ruiz. I thought it was kind of sad, Gary, when Andy Ruiz came back and lost that second fight and sort of fired, for lack of a better term, Manny Robles, because in that situation, even if you're half-assing it and not training, Gary, unfortunately, and I don't like this at all, but unfortunately, a lot of the time in the fight game, there has to be a scapegoat. There has to be somebody to blame. Even if you, Gary, didn't get off your big bottom, there has to be somebody to blame if you're a big back, Gary. And in that situation, he went with the legendary Manny Robles, who I think is one of the best coaches in boxing right now. He left him. He's come back. He's fought only like 3 fights since then. He hasn't looked that good. I thought he lost that Big Baby Miller fight. I thought they gave him a gift draw in that fight.
I thought, oh yeah, they did do a draw. I thought Big Baby Miller won that fight.
Right? He looked terrible against Areola when he fought him. He got dropped by Areola. He won that fight. And then there was another fight in the interim with King Kong Ortiz. Very tough fight. He won that fight.
He won that one too. He came through on that one.
Yeah, but that last one against Baby Miller, that was the most recent performance.
Yeah, that wasn't a good performance.
Boxing is a what have you done for me lately?
I thought he lost against Big Baby. I did. I did.
Gary, boxing is like your significant female other. What have you done for me lately? And if
that's the truth, brother. That's the truth.
If you haven't done a lot, Gary, you're gonna be in the doghouse, Gary. So
not a lot. If you ain't just did a little bit, you could be doing a lot, and you ain't just do one thing right. Yeah, what are you talking about?
We can't go in too hard though. You did just get some sugar a couple minutes ago, so we don't want to go.
Yeah, she's gonna be mad at me 10 minutes later because I answered the phone and said, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah. By the way, shout out Night Stalker Ramirez. He says Shakur knocks out Tank. Appreciate you being in here.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know about that.
He says Shakur knocks out Tank.
Shakur knocking out Tank?
I'm sure you'll address that at some point. But I don't know about that either. But Andy Ruiz, Gary, with Manny Robles in his corner, does he have a chance, Gary? Does he have a chance to once again become Mexico's heavyweight champion, maybe a 2-time champion? Do you think he's got a job?
At one point I thought he didn't, but I'm looking at all these fighters. Once again, I don't know how to say his name. Dubois. He looked like he was not what it was supposed to be. Then he destroys Anthony Joshua. He destroys what Frock? What it was? No, not Frock. What is
Hergovich.
Herkovich? Yeah, Herkovich. I'm saying Frock like that's what Andrew L. Ward fought, but
Yeah.
Herkovich. He knocks out Herkovich, which I thought Herkovich was gonna win that fight.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
He beats Big Baby Miller, and we seen him get worked by I'm not saying Usyk because Usyk didn't work him. Usyk beat him, but we seen him get dropped by you know who it is. I can't think of his name.
Areola?
No, not Areola.
Who got dropped?
No. He got dropped by
Who's he?
the boys. The boys got dropped by
Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce. There we go.
He got stopped. He got stopped by Joe Joyce.
Yeah. He got beat up by.
stopped him too. Usyk stopped him too.
Yeah, but I don't think Usyk was as bad as Joyce, and he put Joyce down there.
Joyce busted his orbital bone.
Yeah, Joyce beat him up pretty bad, and then you seen him, but he was able to come back.
Yeah.
You seen Zhang, he's older. He just knocked out Wilder,
right?
And he's back in the mix and things of that nature. So you seeing who else beat up Wilder? What's his name?
Parker.
Joseph Parker. Yeah, Joseph Parker. He beat up Wilder. Now he's back in the mix. Yeah. So everybody's been getting back in the mix.
I know.
So it's like, does he have a chance to get back in the mix? He does, but I mean, this is the problem with athletes sometimes, and going to football. Like the Dolphins' defense coordinator last year just won the Super Bowl this year, and his defense is dominant. And they said he was too hard on the players, and that's what Manny Robles was being to Andy Ruiz, telling him the real deal, and he ran from it to get somebody who was gonna placate to him.
Yeah,
and Manny was trying to tell him the right things to do. Did
you just use placate on our podcast?
I didn't know that was such a big deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miami-Dade County Public Schools coming through in the club. Continue.
It's always you need people around you that's going to tell you the right things, not the bad thing. Andy Ruiz has a lot of talent, but once he got full of himself and he didn't want to listen to Manny and people who were telling him the right things, just like the Dolphins, your team.
Don't you dare.
Didn't want to lick to.
I'm not in the mood right now.
Well, y'all defensive coordinator for last year
I've suffered long enough.
Super Bowl. He won a Super Bowl.
I've suffered long enough, damn it, and you know this.
I'm just saying.
Listen, you said he got full of himself. Well, it looks like he got full of a whole lot of other stuff too, because he came in. He came into that second weigh-in looking like he ate the old Andy Ruiz.
I mean, it's a long shot, but he has to show a lot of dedication to get back. Remember, Tyson Fury got the 400 pounds. That's another person. Tyson Fury retired, cocaine, drugs, depression, 400 pounds, came back and got back. I'm not saying he's Tyson Fury. He's not. Yeah. But he has talent, but it got to be a certain dedication to it.
Yeah, and that's why I highlighted Fight or Flight Boxing's comment here. It says Andy has no drive, and I think that's what it's going to depend on. I mean, how far can this guy push himself to get back to the mountaintop where, like you said, Gary, he has a chance, and I agree with you, Gary. I agree, especially the heavyweight division, man, because the heavyweight division is, it's like one of those video games where you just be losing the whole time and land one shot and it's over.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just knock people out in the heavyweight division or hit them so hard they're just kind of concussed for the entire fight, which is what Andy Ruiz did to AJ in their first fight, So, I think he's back in the mix. We'll try to get Manny Robles on the channel. He's been on here several times, so we'll try to get him on here and talk to you guys about that.
Manny's not the best person for him, though.
Gary, over an hour now on the podcast. I appreciate everybody's time. I don't want to keep you too long. Excuse me. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, join the channel, like this, comment, share it with your friends. Gary, anything you want to tell them before we let you go? Because I have kept you a while, and I'm sure, besides the sugar you've already received, there's probably some syrup, donuts, and everything else waiting for you.
I just gotta say, fight or flight. I will argue with you all day long.
He will. He will.
Hey, I like that. I like it. I enjoy it. Fight or flight blocks it. Hey, I love it. That's all I gotta say. He's somebody I will argue with. We will be arguing all day.
Arguments, guys, I'm going to warn you now. Arguments for Gary are like oxygen. The more you give him, the more life he's going to have. So be careful.
Only other person I do this with is George.
And I've never won a single one. Anyway.
That's a lie. But
All
whatever.
right, well, we'll see you guys. We'll continue to drop content all week. We're going to have a special phone call coming in from David Morrell for you guys, either tomorrow or the day after. We're going to do a quick interview with David Morrell, the real David Morrell. And, join us, obviously, after the fight on Friday, Gary. We should go live after the fight if we can. And or after the fight, the Catterall fight on Saturday as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you guys again. Remember, Tuesdays live every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for now, and immediately after all the big fights. Anything you want to say, Gary?
No, I'm good, baby.
Appreciate you guys. You guys have a great night. Remember to join and subscribe.